the Grant Bonnet Band has a new release on July 13th called Meanwhile Back in the Garage. How would you describe kind of the direction of this new album?
The direction of the new album, well, is pretty much a good segue between the last album and this one is, I think, could have been another Alcatraz album had Alcatraz still been together, I think, because that's the way I kind of write music now, is what I always have, but hopefully it's kind of like a modern-day Alcatraz. I think we've gone a little bit further this time with melodies and a little bit of experimenting, but not too over the top, but with some very kind of sing-along choruses. It's sort of like, one of my friends said, it's not rock, it's not hard rock, it's not pop, it's not R&B, it's something else. And I don't know quite what it is, but it's not bad.
Yeah, I've had a chance to listen to it. I totally agree. I think this could be your best release of your entire career, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I really enjoy it. I like the.
Thank you.
I love the lyrical approach to this. Like, the stories told in this song, in the songs, like a song like Long Island Tea, has a really interesting take on seeing things from a different point of view. Is that based on real experience, or do you come up with these ideas?
Yes. Well, what I normally do is report on things. I call it reporting, or writing, whatever. I report on things that have happened to me or happened to somebody else, or an experience that I've heard somebody else has had. And this was something that happened to me when I was, in fact, rehearsing with Rainbow. This is how long ago it was. We rehearsed in a place called Hampstead, Long Island, and I was out with my ex-wife. We're walking through the streets thinking, well, there's not much happening here, is there? And it was a really hot day. Yeah. And I said, well, let's go into somewhere and get a drink. And we walked into this place, and, well, the song tells the story, but it's basically we walked in there, and we were kind of looked at as being odd because we were the only white people in there.
Sure.
And when the whole crowd looked at us and weren't very happy for some reason. Anyway, I went to the bar, asked the guy for a drink, and he said, you can't stay here. And I said, why? And he said, because you're wearing the wrong shoes. We don't allow sneakers in here. And I thought, wait a minute. And I looked at my wife and I said, that's not right. I said, well, can't we just stay here and have one drink? It's really hot. And he said, I'm sorry, sir, but you'll have to leave. And so I'm seeing racial profiling going on, but from the other side.
Right.
And now I know how it feels to be whatever, Asian, Irish, black, green, blue. Sure. I was a white guy in a black bar, and we were both white, and very obviously so, and we had to leave. It was really, really strange.
Gotcha. Yeah, the lyrical approach here, you paint such a vivid picture with every song that I really enjoy. Do you feel that you're getting better with age as far as in terms of writing lyrics?
No. No, I think I've always been pretty good at writing lyrics because, I like poetry, but I don't like poetry to rhyme. So if I can do that, I won't have the end of the line rhyme with the next one or the alternate line. It's always something that I try to tell a story without rhyming sometimes. And I took this from, one of my heroes, Chuck Berry. When he wrote songs, you were there. You could imagine what he was going through.
Sure.
He always wrote songs that meant something, and he was a great poet. Chuck Berry's my hero. His songs were always the same melody, but the stories he told were great. He told country stories. I mean, Johnny B. Good, for instance, is deep down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans. I mean, those words are so good, and they roll off the tongue so well. I used to love doing those songs when I was a kid, Chuck Berry's songs, and I've always tried to make up songs that have a story behind them, and I've done that ever since Alcatraz, really. That's really when I started writing words that, to me, meant something and weren't just fodder for another guitar solo.
Right. Yeah. I get that. I like. I like how they don't rhyme. There's not so many songs you listen to and you can predict where it's going and what word comes next, actually. And I like the fact, I like on this album, you can't predict. You really keeps you on your toes. It might take you a little longer to sing along with it, but it's well worth it for me, it's just more interesting.
Well, thank you. That's what I aim for, if I can. But sometimes it does come along when you go, oh crap, this line's got a rhyme and it's got to be not that interesting, But it does happen. But I try mainly to make it a story,
So what was the writing process like on this record? Do you collaborate? Is it a collaborative process with the band, or?
Yeah, I mean, what happens normally is as usual, the guitar player will come up with like 10,000 guitar riffs and a great solo, and you have to go, oh, okay, but can we cut the solo down a bit? So it's. Most of the time, it's usually more me, but the whole band is. But they all have input from our drummer to our bass player to our keyboard player, and of course to the guitar player, because we're the guys that do all the solos anyway. I'm doing the solo. The soloists are always guitar player and singer, so usually it's more involved with the guitar player, but Jimmy, our keyboard player, comes up with stuff that I really like, and then he passes it on to whomever the guitar player is,
On this record, your voice it has not changed much over the years. How do you keep that voice after screaming your head off for all these years? I mean,
I know.
Do you really pay attention to keep it in shape, or I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's I still have the same range. I still sing basically the same, I hope. As you get older, I found with a lot of older singers, I tell you who I've recognized that in is Russ Ballard. When Russ sends me a demo, his voice has that shake in it, which means he doesn't have that much hair. Tina Turner is another one. Speaking of a song, Tina Turner, I noticed she gets there's more of a vibrato comes out of their voices because they have no control over the way their lung power decreases as they get older or something. I'm not sure, but the voices always change as their speaking voices do too. Oh, I'll see what I can do later. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of like. That's what happens to the singing voice. And I've been very fortunate not to have that happen to me. When people speak to me, they say, God, you sound about 19. Okay, I do. I'm a child, basically. But it's something I've looked after stopping drinking, which I was a heavy boozer, 15 years ago. But I stopped completely because that was pretty much wrecking my voice anyway. So I had some bad gigs back then and bad sessions, Okay. But now I just try to look after as much as possible.
So how did the Michael Schenker Fest go? Touring with that many lead singers seems like it could be asking for trouble.
Oh, no, it went very well. No, everything's going pretty well. In fact, I'm going to see him in a month's time. We're doing another reunion, so to speak, show with all the other singers from his, different albums. We're doing 2 shows. One's in Moscow, I think, and the other one is a TV show, probably in Moscow, too. So that's just 2 shows we're doing. And then later on in the year, I think it's September or October, we're doing a month's tour of the same show, but with more songs, obviously. When we do the show, it's like 2 hours long. So it's 2.5 hours. Yeah. So it's a pretty big production, so to speak. But it's been really great playing with him after all these years and not being very successful with our very first gig where I got fired.